guess who doesn't know what to do for their next video, so they're just gonna do something relatively simple. Okay, but actually this is pretty much gonna be in line with what I want to do in the future. So there's a lot of channels out there like, you know, Frank Javasy, Aces to Aces, those kinds of people who I am big fans of, but one thing I noticed is that they don't really tend to go into that much detail about like the full composition of the whole thing. Like they tend to show individual things, like they'll be like, yeah, you gotta get a bass that sounds like that. They would not tell you to use 3x oscillator for a bass line. But my point is, they don't really, they're kind of just in it for the meme, no offense. but you know, like the whole tutorial aspect is sort of like secondary to them, so I want to try and go into a little bit more detail than that in my videos, and I will be starting with this song, which you may recognize from the end cards of my videos. It is called Star Rise. I will have a link to it in the description. Like I said in my first video, in the future I'm going to be focusing on video game type music and show you like how they put, like how do they make a hot song sound like you're in a volcano and stuff like that. This particular song though, I didn't really have anything like that in mind when I started working on it. So I'm going to show you like how the conception of the song started, because that in my opinion is like the hardest part of songwriting in general, just like trying to get something to actually happen. So there's a couple of things that caused the song to happen. First of all, I downloaded a couple of instruments that I really liked, one of which was NeoChip. I'm actually just using the very first preset on this because I really like it. And at the same time I downloaded this, I was also learning how to write chord progressions because I didn't really know how to do that before. I just kind of put random notes where they sound good together. There's a specific video I watched that I was doing this, which I will link to in the description if I can find it again. But basically I was just like doing this as practice while following along with it, and it just ended up being a progression that I really enjoyed, so I just kind of kept going with it. And then I downloaded this thing called Bitbox, which is a really cool little thing that has some presets that have a bunch of different things, but you can also click on things to turn them into different sounds, so you can have pretty much an infinite amount of combinations of like nice little 8-bit drum kits. I also sidechained the kick with the synthesizer, because if I don't do that, it just kind of sounds not quite as good as, like it's just ducking out a little bit every time the kick happens. Go look up Frank Javy's Zelda sidechain video on it, because I just use the same method he taught there. And the third instrument I found that I used here is something called Free Alpha. Yeah, Free Alpha. I found this preset that sounded like pretty much exactly like an instrument used in the Night in the Woods trailer music, which I've always really liked. And I really wanted to do something with that, so I just kind of made this little thing. And I also overlaid a glockenspiel, the little bell thingy. I'm using this VSCO2 orchestra thing, which, God bless the people who made this. None of these are really gonna like blow anyone away necessarily, but like this is all totally free and you pretty much have your own little basic orchestra here, so it's really nice. So yeah, pretty much I just had these three instruments that I wanted to try out and I just threw them all together. So I had a chord progression, a simple little melody, and some drums, and I needed to extend that into a full song, so I started to think about what I could do with it. And I remembered this particular musician named RJ Lake, who was from the Homestuck music team that I've always really liked, and I thought this sort of kind of sounded similar to his style a little bit. He has some really cool stuff. I'll link to him in the description. Not that I'm really in a position to be shouting anyone out yet, I'm just trying to get into a good habit. it, but I remember this song in particular that he made in this specific part of it right here. And I've always really liked that part of that song, like how it's kind of like the instrument in the back that's like going up, like it like fades into like a different instrument, and I wanted to do something that sounded like that part without just being like a straight ripoff from it. Just remember, it's totally fine to steal something as long as you change it afterwards. Like, you steal a car and you paint it a different color, that's not their car anymore, that's a different car now. You can probably kind of hear some inspiration in the melody that I made on this part. Because it goes like dun 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 dun, which is kind of similar to like back here. I was like, this goes down and then it comes back up. So like the part that comes up in the song over here, you know, I did a little thing over here. And I use that to transition into a different thing. Let me mute the bass, because actually the bass line was something I added in the last, so this is what I had as I was working on it. So I started with the free alpha thing being like mostly prevalent. But I wanted to like do what that song did and transition to a different thing, so then I added a little 3x oscillator thingy. Which is just like square, so you can look at it, it's 3x oscillator, there's not a whole lot to say about it. So I made that part, and then I had this little kind of pause break thingy over here. Oh, don't worry about this part yet, I'll get to that. I'm kind of like retracing my steps in the order I did all this. This was just like blank for a while because I didn't know what to put there. After I had this little part, I put a parametric EQ on the master channel, and I was just kind of like messing around with it, like like that, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like a thing that would work. So I just recorded myself doing that with my mouse manually. You click like record up here, and then notes and automation, I'm pretty sure. And then it'll keep track of whatever you change. So I just like was like doing this with back and forth with my mouse. Like, this is just my mouse movements right here. Let me like turn this down for a little bit while I'm talking. So it got to this part of the song, and then I was like, okay, the drum should probably cut out right here, because why not? I didn't do this yet, just ignore this. Oh, I didn't have this either, ignore that too. It was like just this. This was like the basic framework for what I wanted to do. I had like I started, and then I had like a little different pattern over here. And then I had like a cutout, and then a build up, and then like another cutout, and then the drums start coming back in slowly. Like I do the thing where like it's missing some stuff, but then they like come back in right here. And then I started, oh, pluck them string. So I just wanted to put like a little thing on here where it goes like just like a little string pluck. Never hurts anything. This is the violin section on this thing, and so it has these things down here where you have to like click on a note to set the articulation. So C# for sets into pizzicato, so I just have this little thing at the beginning of the thing before any notes happen, so that it doesn't get reset every time I open the song up again. But anyway, moving on, I don't remember at what point exactly I added this. Well, what even is this? Oh yeah, this is something called Piano Vintage 1984. I don't remember where I found it. I think Frank Jetsy just mentioned it in one of his videos, so I just found it somewhere. I'm using a preset that I made for it called Good, because most of the other presets aren't that good. So I made something that was good. And I don't remember what I had this to. I need to reload this project. Yeah, I just changed the ADSR on here a little bit so that it would fade in and out a little bit more. And I moved this into the left ear because I have this thing that I put into the right ear. This is just a sine wave with a little bit of triangularness to it, and a pitch thingy that makes it start fading in a little bit of vibrato whenever it's like, you know, held down like that. Just very slightly. You don't wanna. Well, you might want to do that, but I don't want to do it right now, right here. There's a time and a place. Alright, so then I made this nonsense down here. So let me see, how many things do I have routed to insert one? Alright, so I took the piano vintage thing, this thing, and the main synth. And wait, what is this? Okay, this channel is not even used. I don't know why it's there. Wait, why do I have two other clones of the piano vintage thing down here? I don't understand what I do when I make music, okay? You're not really supposed to. You are supposed to, but you don't have to, okay? Anyway, I have those three things sent to insert one, and on insert one I have... the fuck is this? I have a parametric EQ too, and what I did with that was I right-clicked this little thingy right here and made some automation clips, and then I, so when you're making these, you can like right-click to make a bunch of points, and you like right-click again, and you can set these to wave, which makes it do the little ups and down wobbly things over here. Okay, this was extremely annoying to do, because the thing is, it doesn't like, so I wish I could just put a point like right here and then a one right here, and then just like have it be an even amount of things, but you can't do that. You have to like put them in between certain beats in order to have, because I wanted to go like here 3 and then you know, no, like so on and so on. And then like over here I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, like, because I wanted to sound like dun 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 dun. But like, I had to like, look, there's a point here and a point here and a point here and a point here. Like that's how many I needed to actually like get these things. You can like drag these up and down to like change the... It's a nightmare to like do this, but like this is what I had to do. Cause like, let me show you what happens if you try to do this like reasonably. Like I'm gonna make an automation clip. Let me just delete this. I'm doing all this anyway. So like I got a thing right here, and then let's say I just want to make a simple little thing where it's the wave and okay, that, there we go. So okay, look at this. Look, I have 4 waves right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. But the 4th one is like halfway at the thing, so that you can't just end it, because you can't start at the bottom and then also end at the bottom. You have to start at the bottom and end at the top. So like I can't just, no. Like, and you want the peaks to like be on the beat, like right here. So what you gotta do actually is you have to move this like this, so then the peaks are on the thing. But now this is like a measure too short, so you have to make another thing and put this over here, and then you gotta do that, and then you gotta drag this so that it, like, and now you got it. But like doing that on like a minute scale with all of these different specific little like intervals I want to just... But I did it. It's done. I'm not gonna have to do it again for this song, at least. I probably will in the future. Anyway, I made a couple different versions of this. You can see it says number 3 and number 2 and then 2 again and then number 3. And then I have this one last one up here for the ending, which is like a little bit more extreme sounding. The reason I have it go up at the end there actually is because I want this to be able to loop, and when it goes like that, because the top here is the default state. It's when this is all the way up here, which is where it should be. So and it's just like, you know, starts over like that. And you can see here too, this is another good example. You can clearly hear it's just 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. But in order to do that, I had to like start here and then make another point like on this beat for some reason, and then up here, and another one right here, just to sustain the triples. Speaking of automation, you can see a couple more things going on here. I have these plucks fading out a little bit. So they just like kind of leave. And this thing right here, I wanted this to be very, very subtle. Actually, let me show you the counter melody I made first, because it's the same instrument. It's like this little thingy over here. It's just a 3x last thing with the pitch modulation stuff going on. Oh, pro tip, if you're trying to make a silky smooth kind of synth thing like this, turn on your volume envelope, and this is what it sounds like by default. You hear that pop at the beginning and end of every note? You don't really want that. At least I don't really want that. I don't know about you, but what I do is I turn on the volume envelope and I set everything like this, and for the attack you can see it's set at like 0.1% basically. Like, just have it up like as slightly as you can to the point that it's still like there pretty much. And that basically just makes the notes like fade in a little bit, just so they're not like an instant attack time, and it doesn't make that kind of pop sound. Okay, I also did some portamento stuff here, I believe. Yeah, there's some slide going on. You can hear it right there. Because without it, it's like... Yeah, I like the slide. I actually wrote this first and then made a simpler version of it with this right here. Because, like, I knew I wanted this to happen right here, but I wanted to come in earlier too during this, like, breakdown kind of part. I have no idea what just happened. Oh, it's because of this, yeah, that would explain it. So yeah, just a simpler little thing here, because if I had this going, it would be a little... Like, the world ain't ready for that one yet. I gotta have it wait a couple more bars, then it can come in and shine all at once. And since the ending's supposed to sound more somber, like, I bring the simpler version back, but I make it slightly quieter. It's this is controlling the volume of it right here, because I want it to almost be like a tone that sounds like it's part of another instrument, but it's actually its own thing, like like, it's barely there at all. And it just fades out, and then this is, of course, the volume for this synth right here, because since I want it to loop, this synth isn't in the beginning of the song, so it's gotta leave. And it's just this thing. What the hell? Oh, okay. Oh yeah, that's what that thing was up here, this bass. I was just like practicing, experimenting on other bass lines. None of these made the cut, and for some reason I did not delete them. What even is... Yep, that sounds pleasant. So yeah, at this point in the song, I was pretty much just thinking about the structure of it more so than the things that it was missing. Like I had the introduction, and then I knew I wanted a different thing right there, so I just kept that blank. And the cutout thing right here, and the fade back in, and the other cutout, and then the main part of the song, and it kind of sounds sort of similar to the beginning again, like the backup synth cuts out and the plucks start fading out, and it could just loop around right here, but then I want this extra little special part at the end. So I had all of that, so it was pretty much time to start putting in other stuff. So I finally started to figure out what I wanted here. And this was pretty much just me trying random things until I got something that sounded alright. What did I even do here? Oh right, that's why there's two clones of the piano vintage thingy. Okay, so let's see here. Oh yeah, these were really annoying to figure out how I wanted to do them. So these are both clones of the piano vintage good preset thing I made pretty much, with a little bit of adjustments with the ADSR and stuff like that. I wanted to do a thing where it was like... But like, I wanted it to have the fade in, and then like also do those other notes, but those other notes like take too long to fade in, so I had to make two different versions of it, where these other notes that happen on top of the chords like fade in more instantaneously, or quicker at least. So like, that's the main chord, and then these come in. Ignore the little audio crackling. I think my CPU is dying or something. It's fine. Although I probably wrote those like after I wrote this other NeoChip thing. Just like a little bit of a different progression for this part. I just like, you know, I tried what sounded good and I done put the notes there until I liked them. That's pretty much how I did this. And actually I put this in before I did those other piano vintage things. This is another free alpha thing, some preset, I don't know, but it's like... Yeah, not a whole lot to say about it, just some little spice for the chords. And the reason I made all of these was because I didn't want to just continue this same main instrument throughout the whole thing. So I just had to throw in some other like kind of high frequency stuff to replace it, because if I didn't have any of that, and I just stuck to the original chord progression with NeoChip and didn't have anything else, it's just like... There's just nothing happening there, so I had to add some other stuff. And that actually accounts for the entire song other than the bass line, so let me just get right to that. So the way I write bass lines is I click and I create notes, and then if those notes sound good, I keep them. Let me show what's actually going on for the instrument itself. It is 3x oscillator because I like 3x oscillator because I am a simple creature. It's got a sine wave, a triangle, and then another sine wave down in the sub-region over here. I got a parametric EQ2 as well, just to like... I know this is like a weird kind of shape for a bass line, but... Well, obviously this is boosting it too, but I just wanted it to like come in through the mid-range a little bit so you can actually like hear it over everything else, because if this wasn't like this, then it was just like down here, or like this is what like a normal bassline boost would probably look like. It's just a lot harder to distinguish specific notes, so I kept it around like this. I as for the like instrument itself, I also have a little bit of slide with an L going on, some portamento, and it's in mono mode, so I can have two notes overlap like this and they don't both sound at the same time. I also have, let's see, a little bit of a volume envelope, so it has a little punch to it. It has an attack, and then goes down a little bit and it drops. So like instead of like the sustain isn't like all the way up there, it's down a little bit so that it can like, it has an initial hit like a normal bass guitar, and then like you hear that like that's an exaggerated version, but it's like it's got that first hit and then it like drops ever so slightly, like pretty much instantaneously, because the K time is very small. I also did a similar thing to that other synth with the pitch over here. It just like starts vibratoing a little bit as time goes on to kind of simulate a bass player, like, you know, moving the string back and forth. Again, very subtle. You don't want to. I mean, there are applications of that, but it will take someone much wiser than myself to discover them. And I just got a bunch of overlapping things for the mono portamento stuff and some slide notes, so let me just like play the whole thing right here. You may also notice that I have a little bit of velocity variation around, just to give it a little bit of an extra touch. Like this second note and this like little triple thing right here is a little bit quieter, and the last note's a little bit louder. Just makes it sound a little bit better than, you know. But anyway, as far as how I wrote this, they kind of just like come to me. Like I pretty much just click around with notes and just start going like. You know, and I like to listen to it with the rest of the song. Let me mute the drums because you don't really need them. Just, I like to hear how the notes sound with the chords and the melody. Because basses can do this like reharmonization stuff that I don't understand at all, but if like just depending on what the note is, it can basically change the feeling of the chords above it. So I tend to like not limit myself when it comes to bass lines. I don't like just following the chords. I'm gonna make another video on this actually. I'll go into more detail then, but I pretty much just put whatever sounds fine and I just keep on going. This is bass question, this is bass 2, which is a little bit different. Okay, this last thing right here kind of cuts out. Like it goes up and then it drops back down because like it's like you know because of the portamento stuff. I like things when they slide. And yeah, a shorter version during this part of the song right here. It just repeats, and then it just goes back to the original pattern for the rest of the song right here, and then it just leaves. So that's pretty much it, I guess. I'm trying to think if I'm forgetting anything. I really don't have that many effects going on. Like, it's really just like parametric EQ2 to, like this was for, you know, like the modulation of all this stuff going on down here. This is the bass. I have 2 limiters. Let me see if I can remember what I was doing here. Oh, this is for the sidechain. Yeah, I also sidechained the bass with the kick. That's also a thing you should do a lot occasionally if it's right for the song. Oh yeah, in addition to the bass, everything that's on insert 1 is also sidechained to the kick, so that is the main synth, the backup synth, and the counter melody synth thingy. But then this one, this is me kinda just regulating the volume modulation stuff that I was doing with it. So if I don't have this, it's just like, I'm just trying to keep the volume a little bit more stable here. You can see the peaks that I was describing earlier with the volume envelope. This is what it actually like looks like. Like it spikes at first but then quickly drops and then it kind of sustains itself. This is just me kind of making it so that those spikes aren't like too dramatic compared to the rest of the sound. Like I'm setting the threshold and the ratio, and then I'm setting the gain up a little bit. I'm basically just squashing it down to make it a little bit less dynamic. Alright, it also gets quieter on like low notes, I noticed. Like you hear that? If I don't have the limiter on, then it's a lot more noticeable. You hear how much quieter these notes are, so the limiter, squashing it also helps with that a little bit. Just increase the gain, set the threshold a little bit, and the ratio up so that it's like... I don't want to explain how limiters work. There's like millions of videos explaining how this works if you want to go look it up. And yeah, like this limiter on the synth stuff is just for the side chaining, and then on the master, I've just got the EQ for that thing down there. And then the limiter, because I very slightly lowered the threshold on here and then increased the ratio just so it doesn't peak above 0 decibels, because like I think the entire song is pretty much right around here, and then occasionally there's like one little thing that goes slightly over, which I don't really want. I don't really know if it's supposed to like be saved at 0 decibels. I tried googling. I don't know music production that well. I just put notes together. Okay, I'm showing you what I do. You can learn from other people too. I am not a professional. I'm just trying to show that you really don't need to be a professional to make songs that sound pretty good. At least in my opinion. And that's pretty much it. I got this Z-Game editor visualizer thing that I used to make my video on this. This is like a whole other ball game right here. Basically, I just got... you can look at what I have here if you're curious. Like, I could go into this, but honestly, it's like, it was kind of complicated, and I don't even entirely remember what I did. Like, there is a fruity keyboard controller here that I copied the melody to it, and then it's like this, it controls the color of this text, and then like this text is, it has the kicks that make it do stuff. So yeah, that's the whole song. It's really not that complicated. I mean, that's easy to say in hindsight. Like, there's a lot of things that did go into this that, like, I would not have known what to do when I was just starting out. Like, I would not have any idea, like, even what any of this stuff is when I was first starting out. It's just, you just gotta keep practicing and keep working on things like this until you, like, start to know what you're doing. It will happen eventually. I spent so long like not knowing what I was doing, and I would not have been able to make something like this, but if you just like keep practicing, eventually you will be able to do this. And obviously there are songs a lot more complex than this one out there, but I think this is pretty good. Like, I am proud of it, and I didn't need to graduate from any sort of like music program in order to be able to write something like this. So I hope you learned something, you and the other 9 people who probably ended up watching this video. That's being generous to myself, let's be real here. Feel free to share this if you know anyone else who might also learn something from this. All I really want to do is like pass what knowledge I do have onto as many people as possible, because I was in a situation situation where like I just had no idea what I was doing, and I just want to like minimize the pain that people go through during that stage so that they don't have to like really feel stuck like I did when I was first starting out. I'm gonna try my best to keep making videos like this. I know it's gonna be a very long time before YouTube starts recommending me to anyone, so I'm probably gonna be sitting below 1K subscribers for quite a while, but I gotta keep going with this. I didn't give up when it came to learning music, and I'm not gonna give up here either. So expect more videos like this whenever I feel like I am able to make one. Obviously I need like an actual song to talk about first, so that, you know, I can't really say how often these are going to be coming out, but as often as I can is what I can say. Before I end the video though, I just want to ask one thing real quick to anyone that has made it this far. So I did not expect this video to be like anywhere near this long. Like I was aiming for like 10 minutes or something like that, but I wanted to make sure I talked about like absolutely everything, so there was really no way around this. But I'm curious, would you prefer that I keep this kind of length in future videos, or try to like condense it a little bit more and like leave out some stuff and just talk about the important things? Because I want to talk about as much as I can, but I don't know how many people are gonna actually have like the patience for this kind of stuff. I want to eventually get into streaming if enough people like know I exist and would be willing to watch me, and then I can just like ramble as long as I want. So for YouTube videos it may be better for me to like keep things shorter, but I just want to know like what people think before I make any decisions really. So let me know, and I will see you next time.